Alright, gang, we are back for another round of hip and spine work. This one's going to be about 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to start with some cat-cow, just segmenting through as we tuck the tail, lift the chest, lift the upper back, drop the head. Come into extension, lift the tail, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the head. Go back and forth here 5 to 10 times. Focusing on moving one vertebrae at a time. So we're going to try and hold the position of the head and upper back in both directions for as long as we can as we start with the low back each time. Then go through a few barrel roll rotations in each direction to loosen up the spine in lateral flexion and a bit of rotation. Then we're going to bring our knees under us, sit back between our heels with our knees apart, push the floor away with our hands so our upper back is active and occupied, and take a few tucks and tilts of the pelvis to move the lower back to isolate the lumbar spine. So again here, take 5 to 10 in each direction, and then we will get into some more intense isolated work with our isometrics. So we're going to roll over onto our back. I want you to tuck your knees towards your chest and round the lower back as much as you can. Hook the arms behind the knees, and you're going to try and push the tailbone and the sacrum down and forward as if you want to come out of this position. So again, we're not pushing with the knees or to try and straighten the legs, but we were rather pulling the low back down as if we want to flatten out the back. We're going to take 3 rounds, 10 seconds pushing, and then relax and try and come deeper into the stretch and hold that stretch gently for 10 seconds. And then repeat 2 more times. Each time moving a little bit deeper into the stretch and intensifying your effort to pull the tailbone down to the floor and flatten out the back. After that 3rd round, straighten the arms, rock out the hips, and we're going to activate our posterior chain and get a little bit of hamstring love in here as well. So you're going to inhale into the belly and lift the low back. Send the tail down towards the floor, and as we exhale, we're going to flatten out the low back and tuck the tail so that the buttocks come slightly off of the floor. So inhaling, lifting the belly. Exhaling, flattening out the low back, tucking the tail as if you want to tilt that pelvis so much that you could see the base of your tailbone. Again, move through this rotation, 5 to 10 breaths, and on that final breath, I want you to hold that tucked tail and see if you can hold that position as you push all the way up into a bridge. Work your shoulder blades together under your back so you don't have pressure on your neck, and then walk out the legs to full extension. From here, you're going to dig your heels into the floor, activate the hamstrings at full extension, and you're going to hold for 10 to 15 seconds before walking the feet back to a normal bridge. I want you to press up and dig the heels towards the back, towards the butt. So once again, we are activating our hamstring now in a more shortened position. Hold that 10 to 15 seconds and then walk out again for that extended hamstring activation. Another 10 to 15 seconds here. Maybe you're taking up the intensity if you weren't at 100%, and then walking back to that bridge. And you can even work here towards getting the heels closer and closer, so the knees might even come eventually past the toes. So we're getting to a more shortened hamstring position as we dig the heels towards the buttocks and turn on the hamstrings. Last round, 10 to 15 seconds at this extended position, and then we will walk back towards the body for one more normal bridge. Press those glutes, that open pelvis up as high as you can towards the sky, dig the heels back towards the body. After that 15-second count, we are going to segment the spine down to the floor. Right on, lift the knees. You can windshield wipe back and forth. Take a little stretch here. And after a few to each side, I want you to block the knee as if you want to come out of this rotation. So we are going to be engaging the muscles next to the spine on the raised part of the side of the body. So in this location, it would be this muscle here, just to the left of my spine. And here I'm blocking the hip. And think about wanting to drive the head of the femur backwards towards that back wall. Take 3 to each side. Then rock back and forth a few times to massage the spine and low back. And we're going to come back down for lumbar extension, pails and rails. So lift that low back off the floor. Place your forearm or your fist under your low back. And you're going to press down into the floor as if you want to flatten out your back. As you do this, I don't want the tailbone and the butt to come up off the floor. So we're pinning the tailbone and the sacrum down to the floor and simply trying to flatten our hand or our arm beneath our low back. We take 3 rounds of this, 10 to 15 seconds, pressing down, and then breathe up. Take 10 to 15 seconds, deep breathing to relax before returning into extension to press down onto the arm. Hug the knees into the chest and rock back and forth to massage the back after you finish these 3 sets. And then we're going to come up to seated for our 90-90 series and get to work on the hips. So take a big breath, lengthen the spine, sit up straight, and reach with the whole torso as you fold out over the leg. I like to hold on to the front of my foot with the opposite hand. You can then give a bit of tension into the foot, pressing the foot into the hand there, and it can deepen the stretch. Take 3 big breaths in that frontal position, and then take your sternum over the knee and reach the top opposite edge of the pelvis towards your lead knee and drive that heel down into the floor. So it should feel like our lead femur and glute is reaching backwards because of that rotation, creating a stretch in the glute, and driving the foot down is activating the glute at the same time. Hold that for 15 seconds or 5 deep breaths, and then sit up and try and lift that heel up off the floor. So we're sitting as tall as we can, but if we need to lean out to the elbow or even lean out to the elbow and straighten the rear leg, that's fine. We want to just barely get that foot off the floor. Hold that for 15 seconds, and then do the same with your rear foot. What I was indicating there with the scoop is if you can sit tall and it's still easy to get your foot off the ground, I want you to try and tuck your tail underneath. After that 15-second hold, take 10 leg lifts as high as you can. Hold there for a beat and then drop down with control. And on that 10th lift, we're going to reach back and take hold of the foot, pull it up as high as we can, and then I want you to press back into your hand for 10 to 15 seconds. So we initiate some strength here, and then I want you to try and slowly remove your hand and hold your leg in that same position for another 10 to 15 seconds before lowering with control. Take a few rotations in that direction after you're done with this portion. And then we're going to take a twist towards that lead leg. So what I'm indicating here is that I want you to push your hands into the floor as if you're pushing towards that back wall. So it's sort of blocking your progress towards going deep into the stretch. Hold that for 10 seconds and then release. Come back in for a second round. Another 10 seconds and release. In the third round, we are going to push the hands forward, helping ourselves go deeper into that rotation. And I want you to get a sensation of sending the front edge of your pelvis around and to the front. So we're not twisting just with our spine, but we're twisting our pelvis to get deeper into this rotation. Repeat the spinal rotation on the other leg. Then I want you to come to standing for a little abduction. We did this on the bench in class, but it's nice to do this standing. You can even, my favorite height is my windowsill, but you could put a towel on a dining table also. And just rotate towards that raised leg 8 to 10 times. Trying to engage that glute and send the glute back as we twist, just as we did in our lumbar rotation that you just finished. Go ahead and come down out of that after you've done both legs. And then extend your right leg out to the side. Extend the left knee out to the side of the left hip. And take 6 to 10 rock backs. Really push the hips back as deep as you can.
Push the floor away like 10 times.
And after that final 6th or 10th rock back, I want you to hold in that position and rotate the leg open and closed as far as you can. 8 to 10 rotations before we get into our strength effort, our pails and rails.
Because it's working in that position where you are comfortable with this muscle here.
Right on. So push back into this position and drive that foot down into the floor as if you want to scoop it through the floor and back to the body. Press down and in for 10 seconds. Then find your foundation. Flex the belly up so that we don't go into spinal extension, and lift the foot off and hold for 10 seconds. We are going to repeat this sequence 2 more times. So rock out, press into the floor, strength through the chest, back, and the core as we drive that foot down 10 seconds. And set up, give yourself some leverage, turn on the core, and lift the leg and hold for another 10 seconds. Final round. Flatten out the back, push the hands away, drive the foot down into the floor. 10 seconds. Take a breath. Set up your foundation. Engage the belly button in towards the spine and lift the foot off for the final 10. Repeat this sequence on the other leg and you are done with your homework.